Light the beam, because it's time for Nerdy for 30, the podcast where we talk about nerdy-ish movies for 30-ish minutes. My name is Ken Bauer, a.k.a. The Critic's Choice. With me, as always, the People's Champ, the adopted daughter of the Regent Balsarius, and the assassin of the Princess Issa. It's Tim Cack.
Yeah, baby, yeah. Fuck Issa. Useless kid.
God damn it. Useless movie. Today we're talking about Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. Tim, last time we talked about a Rebel Moon movie, I got in a little bit of trouble for saying that it was Star Wars for anti-vaxxers. This movie is Dune 2 for anti-vaxxers.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Kevin, this movie sucks ass. And I fucking hated this thing, especially because I kind of defended the first one. I think
you rode hard for that movie, dude.
I said that I recognize it sucks, but the vibe is good enough that if I'm on my cell phone for half the time, it's kind of a good time. I watched it twice. It was pretty easy. They're just recruiting people. It's like Rogue One if you don't have time to watch Rogue One. I don't know why you'd have not time to watch Rogue One, but you have time to watch this. It did maybe just a slightly different flavor. I don't know. I kind of thought the first one, there was something satisfying about it because it's just going through the motions. It's familiar tropes. It's like Star Wars light. There's something kind of fun about that. Then this movie is a sequel where it's supposed to be cashing in all of the chips that it put down in the first movie.
Sure.
The problem is they put nothing down in the first movie. They ended the first movie having established nothing. The bad guy that was killed, he's back. Didn't bother him at all. He's fine. You know what? The guys that we're supposed to care for either aren't fleshed out or are just genuinely unlikable people and unlikable characters. Gunner getting gifted like a flag with a heart on it because he's the heart of this group is some of the most awful, ignorant, fucking stupid bullshit I've ever seen from anything. Zack Snyder should be fucking ashamed. He shouldn't work anymore. He needs to stop. I fucking hate it. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Gunner is trash. Gunner is the worst character. I have so much hate in my heart for Gunner. He betrayed everybody. He's the reason we're here. He started the whole thing. Gunner sucks. And he looks dumb. He's like, you know, if you got a hot guy for like like a telenovela or whatever, like, it's like, you know, we need an attractive guy, but we can't afford an attractive guy, you know?
Oh my God.
Like when you go to like a bad strip club, you know, and you're like, some of the strippers have tits, some of the strippers have ass, but you can't afford one with both. You know, that's Gunner to me. Gunner's one or the other, man. He might be neither. I don't know. Gunner's just so empty and hollow and leaves you. He's like soft serve ice cream, you know, where you're like, somehow you're thirsty after. You're like, nothing about this was actually satisfying. Gunner fucking sucks. He's trash. And you know how they reward him? They're like, you're awful. You're the heart of this. He gets to make out with Cora. All of a sudden they're together now. They have the most awkward fucking kiss. They have the most awkward kiss ever until the next kiss in the movie, which is somehow even more awkward. No one there isn't a normal kiss with normal human beings in this entire thing. And then they sleep together. She's in love with him. He loves her. We're supposed to be sad at the end when he dies. I was so fucking happy when he died. And you know what? It's like, you know, and Cora, I liked Cora a lot. I thought she was a great character, but it's like when Scarlett Johansson got with Colin Jost. All of a sudden it's like, I guess Scarlett Johansson isn't that hot. I guess she's not that great. You know, I guess she's much more attainable than we all thought. I mean, this bag of pencils, Colin Jost is just, you know, punching way above his weight. Anyone can do this, I guess, is the message we're getting sent. And Gunner is just anyone. The lead is Terror. And so then it's like, now that we've also lost so much respect for the lead in this movie, Cora, she's with Gunner. She loves him. It's embarrassing. Then we find out that
her biggest character flaw is that she's with Gunner.
Maybe her second biggest after killing the princess. This was new information to me, right? This is not in the first movie.
Sure.
Just in the second movie, they're like, oh, by the way, she killed the princess. And again, this is someone we're supposed to feel bad for. She killed the princess. She did it. And then she's like, and then they try and pin it on her. You know, like someone bribed her, like, hey, kill the princess for us. She's like, fine, I'll do that. And then they betray her and she runs away because the bad guys that she joined up with to kill the princess betrayed her. And so now she's on the run. So now she's worthy of our sympathy and support because she's a bad guy that got out bad guyed by these worse people.
But Tim, what if I told you that the princess wasn't really dead?
Dude,
and
fuck
that
you.
Apparently Scargiver 2 or Rebel Moon 3 is right around the corner.
How is that the last 5 minutes of this movie? Goddamn brilliant General Titus, who didn't do a fucking thing. His strategic advice to everyone was, let's farm. And it's like the whole thing is done because they don't have enough time. They don't have enough. It's 3 weeks. We don't have enough time. We're not going to make enough grain. He's like, but what if we did it in 3 days? And everyone's like, wow, the great General Titus. Can't believe he thought of farming faster. That solves all of our problems. Fuck you, General Titus. And then at the end of the movie, he's just like, oh yeah, by the way, this whole killing the princess thing that we just found out about, turns out she can't be killed. You're dumb for even thinking that. I know for a fact the princess... Listen, dummy, I know for a fact this princess isn't dead. So you're stupid because you thought the princess was dead. And then Korra's like, cool, where is she? And General Titus is like, I don't fucking know where she is. Why would I know where she is? I know she's alive. I know she can't be killed. I don't have a goddamn clue where this girl is.
Dude,
so why are you even asking me?
Keep on thinking it. It's like if she hit shut down on a friend's computer and then went to the friend and was like, I'm so sorry. It appears I've broken your computer. And the friend is like, wow, you owe me a new computer. And then after the new computer has been received, the friend's like, by the way, that computer, not broken.
Good the whole time. I erased the porn. It was fine after. Cleared the hard drive, dude. Did a reboot. It's back, baby.
I would have been shocked if they didn't pull the exact same shit to end the first movie. I think it should be, if they ever, God forbid, if they ever make another Rebel Moon movie, it has to end with the last 5 minutes undoing the most climactic thing that happened in the movie. Because the dude, the fucking guy with the white supremacist haircut, he got killed in the first movie and then he got unkilled. Yeah. And then they start off this movie. I think, so you had texted me. I should try to find a way to put a screenshot of this up online. You texted me the moment you started watching this movie and you were like, just started Rebel Moon. Pretty excited. Let's go, baby. And then you immediately texted, never mind. I looked at the timestamps. It's like 4 minutes later. So I went into this knowing something bad happens in the first 4 minutes of the movie. It's just de-establishing the movie where we get the guy that got fake killed and then unkilled at the beginning of the first movie or at the end of the first movie. And they say, what's he going to be like? We'll have to wait until he gets out of the chrysalis to see. Immediately tear him out of the chrysalis. He's the same. They don't even take the opportunity to make him look really fucked up or cool or something because he's coming out of a weird ass chrysalis. He should have been a monster coming out of that. That would have been amazing. Instead, it's just him. He's having some trouble breathing because he just got out of a chrysalis. He,
as we all would,
I think, tells them information they already knew, and off we go. There's the title card. Yeah, and he's fine. There's no ramifications of him almost dying and coming back from life. I also think it's interesting. The chrysalis is such a good metaphor. But did you know, Kevin, when a caterpillar forms a chrysalis and it's becoming a butterfly, it's like when when an animal's hatching out of an egg, like you're not supposed to help it out, you know? Sure. Like the struggle of breaking out of the cocoon is what gives it its view on life. It has to fight its way out. This is like the first big step it needs to take. And I thought it was so interesting that they go out of their way to make a chrysalis and then they all just help him take it off. And I was like, what are we doing? What is the point of any of this? This is all just nothing. There's no substance here. There's no metaphor. There's nothing. This is just, it is what it is. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen a movie that is more just what it is than Rebel Moon. There's nothing else there. It's just, what happened 5 minutes ago? No bearing on what's happening now. It's just live in the moment. Why are you worried about the past?
This is in part 2. This is an entirely different movie. This is a different world than it was 10 minutes ago. Okay. Stop trying to frame all of this. Stop trying to put it in context. Live in the moment for once. That's Zack Snyder's message to all of us. God damn it.
Dude,
I fucking
this movie
hated
seems
this.
like it was fished out of Zack Snyder's trash can. Like,
Dude.
the whole thing, Rebel Moons Part 1 and 2, seemed like Netflix wanted to throw Zack Snyder a surprise party. So they knew his birthday was coming up, and they sat him down and they're like, Zack, we got a surprise for you. We found a script that we know you really wanted to make. We went ahead and made the whole thing for you. And he's like, no, wait, why did you do that? When is this going to be released? Don't do that. They're like, great news. Parts 1 and 2 are already out. They're getting rave reviews online. People love it.
They were Netflix top 10 for 2 days.
Sure. In at least 2 countries.
They see, because my theory was kind of like you said last time. He wanted these to be Star Wars movies.
Yeah. He pitched it as 7 Samurai in the Star Wars universe.
My theory is that he just was going to use characters that already exist in Star Wars. So he's like, Gunner, Luke, great. Or Han Solo, you know, we got Princess Leia's there, Chewbacca's there, whatever. And so he has these flushed out characters in mind. So he didn't do any extra development or anything for him. So he's got the script. He's like, well, this is Chewbacca. We know what Chewbacca's deal is. And they're like, actually, you can't use any of these characters. And he's like, cool, I'll take them out. No changes to the script. This is still just what it is. I don't need any other context for this. I don't need to explain myself or what any of these people are doing. Dude, I wanted to talk about 2 guys that I thought got done real dirty in this. The characters that I thought were the most disrespected was
one,
quiet Asian woman with swords.
Oh, sure.
She doesn't even have the character doesn't have a name on the cast list on Google. And you know what? I'm sure that's all Zack Snyder thought this character was is silent Asian woman, because it's a terrible trope. It's used all the time. It's outdated. It's boring as fuck. And she has swords, and that's cool. She fought a spider. That was a weird scene. If you want to hear us talk about it, you can listen to part 1. We now know, we revealed in a very casual, just going around the table, everyone say what their deal is scene with no heart whatsoever. She cuts off her forearms. Yeah. Because she found 2 swords and 2 fists, 2 gauntlets that I guess were passed down through warrior generations in her family. Mm-hmm. So the only way to put on the gauntlets, I guess, is to cut off your forearms, and then you can attach the gauntlets, and then you get these swords. Right. And now you know how to use them. You know how to fight. You're now being trained by your ancestors. You are now a vessel for the knowledge that is stored within these gauntlets and these swords.
It's a Netflix classic. It's just like the movie Day Shift with Jamie Foxx. As soon as somebody becomes a vampire, they know Kung Fu.
Exactly. You become a vampire, you know Kung Fu, you cut off your forearms, you put on magic gauntlets, all of a sudden you're a samurai. Mm-hmm. This is someone who was so dangerous and deadly that they traveled the galaxy looking for rebels to assemble a small team of elite fighters to take on this huge kingdom and defend the planet. Then they have her in the barn defending the women and children, which I also will say, I don't know if they need defending. You can't shoot a gun, ladies, kids. They can pick up guns. Like what?
Yeah,
it's 2024.
They show one of the farmer girls picking up in the captions, it was labeled as a blunderbuss. She picked up a blunderbuss. Give them all blunderbusses.
Only one. Yeah, why don't they all have blunderbusses? It's crazy. It's antiquated. It's stupid. She gets her ass kicked by 4 guys with swords. This is the sword lady who's trained her whole life. They walk in. They kill her. Yeah. She barely makes it out of there alive. 4 people. Young Milius stabs like 5 people in the neck. No problem. Then blows up a spaceship. And it's fucking young Milius. Not the crazy samurai with the sword and the magic gauntlets for her family. And she dies. They kill her off. They kill her off immediately.
I don't know what to tell you, dude. It's every swords person's weakness is 4 guys with swords. Everybody thinks they're a badass swords person until 4 guys with swords show up.
I can't believe she was sitting there like, man, I've got this. I'm gonna fight whoever comes through this door. And then someone shows up with also has swords, and she's like, fuck, this is the last thing I expected. I thought I was the only one with swords. They have swords too? Oh no, that was my whole thing. What if that's all what if that was her entire deal, is that she's the only person she knows that owns swords? And that was like, she fights the spider doesn't have swords.
Yeah.
Just so crazy.
It's like when you get hired at a company and there's another person there that does comedy and you're like, fuck, that was my identity.
That was who I was.
I was going to be that guy.
Yeah. Now we're both spider fighting in an alley for some reason. For what? The last K cup?
Dude, this is truly, it's up there on the list of the worst movies we've covered on this podcast. I really didn't think it could get worse than the first Rebel Moon. This is breathtakingly bad. The credits, there were 11 minutes of credits on this. So, yeah. I don't want to insult 2,500 people, but like nobody on that list gave this their all. 2,500 people can do a lot of things. You can build a bridge. You can, the pyramids, the Great Pyramids in Egypt. Was it 2,500 people? Who knows? But 2,500 people sure as hell can't make Rebel Moon Part 2 good. There was one thing. I think there was one single thing in this movie that I thought was cool for a moment, and then they immediately ruined it. That was in the final, like at the beginning of the final confrontation between Korra and the bad guy with the white supremacist haircut. Mm-hmm. They are getting tense, and then suddenly it's time. And a dude threw a mat off of the ground. It turned out, Dune style, that there had been a guy hiding beneath the soil for this entire confrontation. He's right there in the middle of them. He has a fucking bazooka. I think we get one shot of the villain's face looking shocked, and then it cuts to a wide shot of the guy firing the bazooka and blowing up one of the ships. Why on earth would you take something as incredible as a guy throwing off a mat to reveal that he's been underground with a bazooka the whole time and ruin it by not having him hit the evil villain with the bazooka? I know he's not the character that has the arc that should take that guy out. You can even have the evil villain have like some kind of like those shields they have in Dune. You can have it block it. If you have the opportunity to have a guy take out the big bad evil villain with a bazooka close range, you gotta do it. That would have been something that would have made me actually consider watching that scene again.
But then what do you do the rest of the movie? He is literally the only bad guy they've established. Didn't they have him talking to somebody else? Like they have somebody above him that is another bad guy, but he's just not a part of this.
Yeah, what the fuck happened with him? Balzarius?
He's not in the movie anymore. Yeah, the evil king. The Rebel King or whatever.
He's the one who organized the whole coup to take out the royal family and then framed his adoptive daughter, Korra. Yada, yada, yada.
Right. It's so dumb, man. You're right. Some of those fight scenes were kind of neat, but then also they all just didn't really make sense. I feel like, it's like, cool. All of a sudden, what's his face? The Tarzan guy and Great General Titus are fighting on a bridge. Tarok is swinging these axes that are really just bouncing off of guys.
Yeah.
Like there's no, 300 like a leg coming off. He's not doing any real damage. He's just bouncing around. And then all of a sudden him and Milius are like really good friends. And the two of them are like back to back. And he's like, I got to protect you and all this stuff. And it's like, why? Well, I don't think they've even talked to each other before, but all of a sudden they're like besties. That's the craziest thing is this whole group shows up. There's like, seven? I'm not even going to count them. These goons roll into the village. General Titus is like, brilliant idea. Let's farm. And everyone's like, cool, we can farm. And so all we see these like quote unquote heroes do is farm. Mm-hmm. And we get a bunch of slow montages. Zack Snyder gives the "this is Sparta" treatment to gathering grain.
Yeah.
It is so lame and so dumb. It's not interesting. they do all the grain stuff. And I'm like, eventually there's going to be some strategy, right? And then they're like, OK, let's prepare. But I believe before they actually express their strategy, there's the moment when they're all hanging out after the grain is picked. And one of the women starts giving out those like banners with everyone's unique thing on it. And she's like, you're the heart of the village, Tarek. You're so noble or whatever. And it's like, how do you know? All they've done is farm. Are they that noble when they're farming? Are they that much better than everything else?
You've never seen anybody farm this nobly.
You have no idea if they're talented or not. You don't know what they're good at. You don't know if they're even helpful. Are they nice people? You have no idea. We know nothing about them. How do these villagers know anything about them? We as an audience don't know anything about them. And I watched part 1.
Maybe their society is so agriculturally focused that farming is like a language to them. And they can tell everything about a person by the way they farm.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of Mr. Miyagi's washing cars.
Yeah, dude.
They're all just like, yes, this is.
It's not the grains you do cut. It's the grains you don't cut. They're really tell who you are.
It's the grains you don't cut. That's beautiful. Kevin, that's a poster right there. It's something like trustworthiness. And then it's just like a photo of some grain. And then it just says it's the grains you don't cut.
Let's just do a series of Rebel Moon motivational posters.
Just with each of the characters on it. Tarok in a field. Picking up grain.
Wow.
I did also want to talk about, and I had this kind of theory I was working on that I wanted to get your opinion on. There's Anthony Hopkins is in this.
Yeah. Oh, that was my when did you know? When did you know that Anthony Hopkins has boat payments to make?
Oh my gosh. He's at the same time they just dropped some movie with him and it's like The Last Days of Freud or something.
Oh yeah.
What is it? No.
Yes.
It's like
The Last Patient of Session.
Him
something.
And C.S. Lewis comes over to his house or something, and they have a spiritual talk about God and what the world means. I just saw the trailer for it, but then it's like he's also in Rebel Moon, just voicing a robot that's useless. It's a useless robot. I don't know. It's so dumb, the dichotomy of like how amazing Anthony Hopkins is and how low this whole it's not even his fault. He lent his voice to a project that should have been cool. And I think it was just disappointing.
Yeah.
So the robot in this gets the anime entrance, the big moment, all hope is lost, but wait, big explosion. And standing in the dust is this character that we've been waiting to show up. We've been thirsting for this person to show up. They do something badass and they save the day. And this is how we're supposed to react to this. And it wasn't good. It was bad what they did. It was just, not a good way to do it. And I was trying to figure out what qualities do you need to pull off an epic anime entrance, Kevin? And I was thinking, for one, you need to know who this person is.
Yeah, I'll back that. All right.
Helps if I don't know anything about them. And I think part of the cool anime entrance is that the protagonist or the person who is going to, make the hot tag and save the day really is trying to get there. They have some obstacle that they need to overcome in order to arrive on time, whether that's learning a new skill or they have to cover some distance. They have to get back somewhere. They're training. They are in the process of leveling up in this. We have seen them previously at one level. When they show up in this, they're going to be at a whole new level and we're all going to be like, holy shit, they're here. And it's awesome.
I mean, it's the Goku special. It's Thor in Infinity War.
Yes. When Thor shows up in Infinity War, that's a great example. He's been he's been fighting to get this new hammer, this new weapon. He finally gets it with the help and sacrifice of his friends. and himself. And then he shows up at the end and everyone's like, oh, you're all fucked now. And then he dominates. He like kills millions of people. He's like better than everyone who's been fighting so far. He is like by far the strongest person there. And then the poor replacement we get is this robot that I have no idea what they're doing. I don't know if will they help? Why wouldn't they help? Do they have any conflict whatsoever? They're just there. We just see them in the background. There's no emotion from them. There's no investment from them. I guess it'd be cool if they showed up, but it doesn't really change anything. Does them showing up change the tide of the battle? I don't know. I mean, he saved some people, but it doesn't seem like they won the war because he showed up on time. Did he level up? I don't know. He didn't really fight before, and now he's fighting and he's pretty good at it. But is he like eye-popping good at it? I don't know. I don't think so. Are we excited to see him as a character? No, I don't think so. He's just kind of he's a thing. He's an object in the background. And I don't know. Am I missing anything else, Kevin? Is there anything else, any other elements to like the badass entrance that you think Zack Snyder blew for this?
No, I mean, it's really just those things you already mentioned that he blew. It's a limited set of things that can be blown, but he blew them.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm racking my brain to try to think of anything that I enjoyed or found interesting. I think it's interesting that he addressed something that Star Wars boldly did and seems to have had his own take on it, which is that he had the laser beams shot from guns and the molten swords be the same colors for the opposing teams. And there's like consistency there. So like what I mean is if you look at a Star Wars movie, it always kind of bothered me as a kid that when the spaceships were shooting each other, the rebels had warm colored blaster bolts, but then the Empire had cool colored blaster bolts. Green for the Empire, red for the rebels. But then
I feel like they were all red.
Flipped. No, it's definitely green coming out of the TIE fighters and stuff like that. And a big space battle.
Yeah, the TIE fighters, yes.
Coming out.
Yes.
And that always bothered me. And I looked that up, and I guess the actual in-universe explanation for it is that the Empire has access to a more refined, more expensive gas that they can use to create their lasers. So, that's why they're shooting green ones, and the scrappy rebels have the red gas lasers. And it just kind of felt weird to me that like red is denoting evil when it comes to lightsabers, but red is denoting good when it comes to a space battle. Zack Snyder chose not to do that. The good guys are using orange and red, and bad guys are using blue and cool. And I took note
Except
of it.
in the
Is
final
it actually
sword
interesting? I don't think so.
But then at the end, they're all fighting with blue swords, right?
Yeah, because I think he picked those swords up off of the bad guys. So it would be like the equivalent of like when what's his name? Gunner. When Gunner picks up the sword and stabs through the guy, like that's a villain sword. That's not like his own blue sword,
Yeah, Gunner's the one who does it, so it's a villain sword. I mean, Gunner's the biggest villain in all this. But he saves the day. He is the one who there's two bad guys. Cora's about to confront them. Gunner bravely shoots one of them in the back. And then,
like a hero. Yeah.
Heroically shoots one in the back. and then Cora fights the main bad guy who she's already killed. Yeah. And she has to kill him again. And then he's going to win. It's like Cora has like this obstacle and this journey to go on. And maybe eventually she'll overcome this obstacle and end up, defying the odds yet again. Yeah. And it turns out she doesn't. She's going to die. And then Gunner stabs him in the back. And then Gunner again heroically stabs. He does again. I forgot. He stabs him in the back again. Oh my God. This is.
Why don't good guys fight dirty, Tim?
Oh my God. This guy sucks. And then he like even takes like what? Then they give her a moment where she cuts off his head, but it's over. Gunner did it. Gunner saved the day. Gunner is the heart and soul of this team and the soul of this movie, even though he is the one who got people killed at the beginning of the movie because of his greed and selfishness and because he didn't respect Cora enough to value her opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, that about sums it up.
God, I hate Gunner so much. I have so much hate in my heart for Gunner. I'm sure the actors, he probably sucks too. I don't know.
It's just weird to me. He's in this movie or TV show. He's in this TV show called The Haunting of... I don't think
Hill
it's
House?
Haunting of Hill House. Yeah, he's in a Haunting of Hill House.
Really?
And then I think I know they did more series
that was
off
good.
of that with Mike Flanagan. Hill House was really good. Highly recommend it.
Wow.
I know they did other series. I think they do the American Horror Story thing where they just swap the actors in and out. So I think he's in a couple of the other ones. But also, it seems like these studios and streaming services do kind of like the old school thing now where people will either explicitly have an overall deal with the studio and they'll be booked for X number of pictures, or the studio will just know like, oh, you're looking for this type? You should bring this person in. We've had them on a few other movies and they're really great. We really love them. It's fascinating to me who ends up, you can kind of tell after a while, like what people keep getting cast in the same way. Netflix clearly loves this guy. I think Netflix loves a lot of the people in the Rebel Moon franchise. And he's going to keep showing up, man. He's going to be in Day Shift 2. He's going to be whatever else we have coming up. It's like a Netflix concoction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's fine. I think it's, it's not necessarily his fault, all this stuff that it's...
Well, you did describe him as who you get when you can't afford a handsome person.
Yeah, I mean, I do stand by that. But as a person, his character, I'm sure he's I mean, there's people in his life that don't like him for sure, but...
That's true of any of us.
Not all of us. I'm unimpeachable. Everyone loves me.
Oh my God.
Especially the people I disparage on this podcast.
Yeah. They hate
Gunner's got
that
nothing
they
but
can't
love for
stop
me.
loving you.
Yeah, that's what it is. God, I don't know. What's he going to do? Stab me in the back? In the first movie, I think we talked about how fun Charlie Hunnam was.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least how he was the only charismatic person on screen. And him not being there, it took me a while watching this movie part 2 where I was like, this group's less fun than before. And I couldn't put my finger on it. And then I looked at the cast list and I'm like, oh, yeah, Charlie Hunnam isn't here. And he was the only like human being in the crew before. And then we're just left with, young Milius and Titus and gosh. And then at the end, all these like Blood Axe's crew shows up and saves the day. But again, we weren't expecting them. They already said no. They didn't tell us they were coming. They showed up at the very end when it's like way too late.
Yeah.
Like they're just sweeping in for the crumbs at the end. And then at the end of the movie, they pledge their undying support to Cora. For some reason, everyone at the end of the movie is like, you know what, Cora, you're all right. And she admits that she murders the princess. And everyone's like, Titus is like, no, she didn't. And everyone's like, whew, well, in that case, I pledge my loyalty to wherever you want to go, Cora, whatever you want to do. And they're like, we're going to find the princess. And it's like, great, cool. This is neat. This is great info to have in the last 2 minutes of a film. And then it just ended, which I thought was a fascinating choice. This movie sucked, Kevin. I don't know. I'm going to rewatch the first one right now.
Oh my God.
But part two, I will never allow into my heart again.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a one and done. What did you think? Did you see this movie? Let us know. Send us an email, nerdy430@gmail.com. We will read your email on the show. We love mail. We love mail.
For a second, I was like, what do you mean? What did I think? I thought it sucked.
I got
Why are you asking me what I
now,
think?
Dude.
I know, you just gotta turn your head. Well, I feel like we locked eyes over Zoom.
I know.
I was like, yeah, man. What do you think of? What do you think I think of?
I
thought
know
of
your
this.
take. You're on record now. I spend 30 minutes of this podcast neglecting the viewer. They're over here. The whole thing. This is like a 30-minute long neg. I'm just like being a pickup artist and trying to get their attention. And then at the end, only then, at the very end, do I look at them and say that I want to hear what they have to say. And that's when I beg for a mailbag question or a mailbag statement. We'll take any mail you got. This has been Nerdy for 30. We will be back here again next week with... Abigail. That'll be fun.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait. Love Abigail.
All right.
I'm going to say I love Abigail, but I haven't seen it yet, but we will.
Yeah,
great.
I'm comfortable saying we love it. See you then. Till then, stay nerdy, everybody. Bye.
Stay nerdy. Bye. Fuck Gunner.